Active and passive insufficiency. Now, insufficiency is the term which is used for describing the inability of a muscle to generate adequate force to bring out a desired action or movement. Fine? It is inadequate force to bring out desired action or movement. The muscle insufficiency is seen when the length-tension relationship is altered. Length-tension relationship of muscle is altered. Here we will be talking about that sarcomere length, actin and myosin filament length. So simple way is when the muscle is lengthened, it is said to be a passively insufficient, and when the muscle is shortened, it is said to be an active insufficient. So shortening of the muscle is when the muscle contracts, and lengthening of the muscle is when the muscle is stretched or elongated. Fine. Now this is important. This is the length tension relationship of a muscle. We know that this is the filaments. Can you see the filaments? Now this is the optimal contraction or optimal way the muscle will move when it is contracted, when it's in its length, or when it is stretched to the fullest. This is the curve it follows. This is a pure curve of muscle. Fine. This is a pure curve of muscle where you see that the force generation at the first point, ascending limb, is you can see there is no much force generation here. Why so? Because there is no much movement between the actin and the myosin filament. Whereas when it reaches to that optimum 100, that is it 100%, the optimum force, that is the distance, is maximum. Actin and myosin filaments are now attached to each other. The maximum attachment is there. So that means there will be full overlap and force production can happen here. When they are, you remember that the role of that activation sites, the role of those activation sites, which were that enzymes which we actin and myosin filaments के लिए use हो रहे थे? TRIPS, tropomyosin and troponin. If they are available, then only this overlap will be possible. They make sure that the actin filaments all are being occupied well by the myosin. If these proteins are not available, these enzymes are not available, this optimum force production will not be possible, which can be seen in cases of muscle dystrophy, because they don't have, if any pathology related to muscle, this optimum length curve will not be achieved. This is important because the next slide is when this is mildly disturbed. The last one you can see is descending limb, where there will be least production of force. Why so? Because the actin and myosin filament are now like this. The force generation will not be there. It is totally elongated. It is totally contracted. That is, there is no strength. This is the optimum length, and the last one is when the strength is totally elongated, that is, force production will not be there. Now if you see the next slide, this is very important, very much important. This is length tension curve. Ideally, when we study about muscle, the curve should be something like this, but when we study, it is not the ideal one. Why so? Because the active, you see the active part is still the same, arc is still the same, but there is something called passive arc also. Can you see that? There is a passive arc. Now this passive arc is because of all those ligaments, all those capsules, all those structures which are responsible also to bring about that elongation. That is why जब हम passive mobilization करते हैं, तो हम वो slack को remove कर लेते हैं and we can mobilize it more. This is not because the joint is there, of course, the muscle is contracting is there, that is another thing, but here I am talking about that elongation of that muscle can further be increased with the increase in the passive structures or elongation of the passive structures. That is why this length tension curve is quite different. Can you see that? It has changed over here. So the length tension curve of a muscle, the key feature of length tension relationship is the extra force that can be exerted during muscle contraction when the passive elements are able to contribute. Can you understand now? The passive elements which are able to contribute, which occurs when the muscle is elongated to long length during strength training or during eccentric training. Fine. So of course, when you are training for the muscle, there will be also effect on the passive structures on it. So they are also contributing towards this contraction. Fine. Okay. So active insufficiency occurs when a multi-joint muscle shortens over both joints simultaneously and hence creates so much slack that the muscle tension is almost completely lost. Completely lost. Now giving you an example, that means we took flexion like this. If I take flexion like this and the stalk is like this for the biceps muscle, so it will neither be able to, when I have to extend, you will see the arm will go like this. That is, it is not giving me or not maintaining the force at shoulder also as well as at elbow also. Fine. The full force will not be generated. So this means it creates so much slack that the muscle tension is completely lost. That means it is not at its maximum force production at both the joints. If I take one joint at a point, the force production will be more as compared to when the muscle is getting contracted at two joints. Passive insufficiency occurs when the multi-joint muscle is lengthened to its fullest extent at both the joints. At both the joints. So you can see herein, he was giving, or I can give an example anywhere. We can say this is an example wherein I have taken for the triceps. It is bringing about, and it is also bringing about, if this, you can see it is passively insufficiency occurs when it is fully lengthened at both the joints. It is fully lengthened at both the joints. I have brought flexion and flexion both sides. So it is, the triceps is fully lengthened, and but it also prevents full range of motion at each joint. Is it full length of motion? It is not full length of motion. It will not bring about. This is called passive insufficiency. It will not bring about the full length of motion. Fine. Both active and passive insufficiency are functional states that occur in multi-joint muscles. Now, this is a blurred image because I wanted to just show you this activity. This is again the same curve. Now, this is the curve. This curve. This is the only the muscle curve. This is when the passive structures come into being, and the third curve is this passive, along with this passive tension, muscle contraction and passive tension is there. So we see that the active insufficiency is at the initial range, part of the range, whereas the passive insufficiency is at the end of the range because it is getting lengthened. Here it is getting contracted. Can you see the difference here? When it is lengthened, it will be different, and when it is contracted, it will be different. So you should know where to focus when we have to focus. It is on contraction or on elongation. Fine. Now, what is the significance? The term active and passive insufficiency are important concepts in exercise programs. Understanding the implication will help us design exercises that are more efficient and less injurious. I'll be taking examples on it, don't worry. The active insufficiency of a muscle that crosses two or more joints occur when the muscle produces simultaneously movement at all the joint. It crosses and reaches such a shortened position that it no longer has the ability to develop efficient tension. Fine. When a prime mover, now adding to that information, because in some books it is these terms of agonist and antagonist are used. Fine. So introducing those terms with the second sentence, when a prime mover agonist becomes shortened to the point that it cannot generate and maintain active tension, active insufficiency is reached. Okay? This is the simple version of it, and this is the definition which you will get it in your books. Fine. It is when the prime mover becomes shortened to the point that it cannot generate maximum or maintain active tension or active insufficiency is reached. Fine. Is this two terms now clear? These two sentences are clear. It is describing the same thing but in better words. Fine. using agonists. Okay. Now I have taken example. I need not tell you again. I am not reading them also because we have already done these examples in the practical class. Yes, we have talked about rectus femoris. We have also talked about biceps. We discussed this just now. And gastric soleus and gastrocnemius, and it is maximum knee flexion and maximum plantar flexions are limited due to shortening of gastrocnemius. It is responsible for even that knee bending and plantar flexion. Fine. So, and hamstring muscles. We need not read this. Passive insufficiency is again what we know and what we have to think about. When the opposing muscles, that is the antagonist, is stretched to a point where it can no longer lengthen and allow further movement, passive insufficiency is reached. This limitation is the normal property of multi-joint muscles and help optimize the relationship between muscle length and tension. Now, passive insufficiency occurs when a multi-joint muscle is lengthened to its fullest extent at both the joints, but also prevent the full range of motion of each joint it crosses. Fine. It restricts the range of motion. Is this clear? Both these sentences are clear? Okay. These are the examples again. Quadriceps muscle, passive insufficiency, full finger flexion, passive insufficiency, hamstring and rectus femoris. I'm not going to read this because we have already done. Fine. Okay. Now, this is important. Clinical reference. Now, during rehabilitation, each joint should be moved individually through its available range of motion in order to optimally improve or maintain the amount of range of motion at that joint. Whenever we ask you to go for a range of motion, we ask you to write the range of motion, we ask you to write it as shoulder flexion, shoulder abduction, shoulder extension, internal external rotation. We never ask you to write it for the triceps. We write it for the biceps. We don't ask you like this. We ask MMT to be written in the form of muscles, but what we say in range of motion is each joint should be given that range. And whenever you're giving strengthening, please make sure that each muscle need to be strengthened, each joint need to be strengthened. If it is shoulder flexors, let it be only shoulder flexors. You don't keep into mind the elbow in this. If you take one joint at a time, while strengthening protocol, these problems of active and passive insufficiency will never bother you in your protocol. Fine. Resting length produces optimal force in muscle. Resting length, the better the resting length, the more the active sufficiency of the muscle will be there. The initial curve is the resting length. The better the resting length of the muscle, the better will be the force generation of that muscle. When considering sports activities like sprinting or kicking a ball, passive insufficiency of hamstring complex can cause injury. Of course, if you are not, if you have not checked the muscle length of hamstring muscles and you have suddenly asked the runner to run, so what will happen is he will have certain cramp, or he will say my muscle is, I am having an ache in my leg. This is reason is you need to always check to prevent certain kind of foresee. You need to foresee these things. Certain kind of injury can happen because of the two joint muscles not properly, if they are not properly lengthened, the optimum length is not maintained. If it is not maintained, there is more chances of getting injury is there. Fine. If the client seems to consistently struggle with a particular movement, you can determine if active or passive insufficiency is playing a role and adjust accordingly. Okay, if you are stuck somewhere, you should look into, the last resort is you should look into if it is a multi-joint muscle and you are not able to achieve the kind of strengthening you are required to do. So please look into active and passive insufficiency. Fine. Now, just I got 4 examples here which I want to discuss. Addressing active insufficiency in hamstring during knee flexion. Fine. Now, if a patient has active insufficiency in hamstring, limiting full knee flexion, hamstring is responsible for what action, please? Tell me.
Flexion of the knee and extension of the hip extension, knee flexion.
Knee flexion and hip key extension. Now read this. We are talking about active insufficiency of hamstring during knee flexion. Fine. Now, if a patient is having active insufficiency in hamstring, limiting full knee flexion due to shortening, rehabilitation should focus on exercises that isolate, stretch the hamstring, which allow knee flexion. For instance, sitting or lying hamstring stretches with the knee flex can help to target this muscle group. Do we get this exercise? Sitting के अंदर हम stretching करते हैं. So we want to focus the active insufficiency of knee joint. We are basically addressing the problem of active insufficiency during knee flexion. And what we try to give? ये कौन सी exercise की बात कर रहा है? Sitting or lying, sitting के अंदर hamstring stretches with knee flexed. How do we give that? How do we give that? Quadriceps table के ऊपर. Yes, yes.
Or you can add
टेबल के ऊपर भी कर सकते हैं. आप अपने OPD 1 के अंदर देखना, there is a quadriceps one table and one is a quadriceps arch is there, where we give short arc isometrics. We try to give that. ठीक है, we change the angle and give that. We basically are doing this sitting or lying hamstring stretches with knee flexed at an angle. We can change the angle of the knee at 30 degree, at 70 degree, at 90 degree, and then give these hamstring stretches. आप देखेंगे, it is a quadriceps table is something big, but it is a small equipment. Simple bar है, and it is a 2 bar on the top, where you can arrange the patient's leg on it. And then ये angle change हो जाता है. I got it from the geriatric OPD. It was बहुत बुरी हालत में था. We kept it in the ortho OPD. Fine. तो देखना इस ortho OPD में पड़ा हुआ है. So second is mitigating passive insufficiency in the quadriceps. Now hams की stretching के लिए active insufficiency देखी. अब हम passive कैसे देख रहे हैं? Passive insufficiency of quadriceps. If the passive insufficiency of the quadriceps is identified, restricting full flexion, physiotherapists can design rehabilitation exercises that involve gradual knee flexion while avoiding simultaneously hip extension. हम ये seated position, sitting leg position के अंदर न करते हैं. ठीक है, हम इसको किसके अंदर कर रहे हैं? In seated position, high sitting position के अंदर हम लेके आके हम क्या कर रहे हैं? Restrict कर रहे हैं knee flexion. Do we give this exercise? We give all these exercises on quadriceps table, भाई. We give this, but we never look about it कि we are basically giving passive insufficiency को हम cater कर रहे हैं at knee joint. We never think about it, but we are dealing with this. These all exercises, they have evolved with time. Giving you an idea, I'm only giving you an idea of those exercises which I have seen. Now I want you guys to frame your exercise protocol. I am giving you an example in sitting. You can make your example in lying. Or you can make your example in any other position you want. You can frame new exercise protocols. There are no set exercise protocols anywhere. Fine. These have been evolved with the topics which we study and which we write. ठीक है? Fine. So you can evolve your own exercise. Active insufficiency of biceps. In cases where active insufficiency limits the simultaneously maximum shoulder flexion and elbow flexion, rehabilitation exercises should focus on isolating these movements. That is, performing seated dumbbells curls can effectively target the biceps without compromising the joint. कर रहे हैं हम exercises कर रहे हैं, and they are giving these exercises. Next, passive insufficiency of gastrocnemius during dorsiflexion. Now what is during dorsiflexion? It is a plantar flexor, but it is passive insufficient during dorsiflexion. Addressing passive insufficiency of the gastrocnemius during dorsiflexion involves exercises that emphasizes ankle dorsiflexion while minimizing knee extension. Seated ankle stretches करते हैं और dorsiflexion exercises with knee bend or knee flexed can help to get the optimum range. कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे? सिटिंग के अंदर हम स्ट्रेचिंग भी देते हैं. सिटिंग के अंदर हम इनको ऑफ कोर्स एंकल के ऊपर हम बॉल एक्सरसाइजेस देते हैं, टॉवल कर्ल्स करवाते हैं कि नहीं करवा रहे? सब करवा रहे हैं. These exercises were framed like this. It was not framed that you should be lying on the bed and then doing these exercises, because that will not basically activate the muscle which need to be activated. So these exercises are basically done. ये OPDs के अंदर हम यही करवा रहे हैं, but we never think about it कि they are basically helping us. And why they are helping us? Because they are making that effort, minimum effort के साथ maximum force production हो रही है. Minimum effort क्या होगा? आपकी एनर्जी यूटिलाइजेशन कम होगी, किलो कैलोरीज आपकी एनर्जी कम यूज होगी उस एक्टिविटी को या उस एक्शन को प्रोड्यूस करने में. दैट इज कॉल्ड योर मिनिमम MET, दैट इज योर मिनिमम एनर्जी एक्सपेंडिचर. फाइन, विच यू विल स्टडी इन, आई थिंक आपने स्टडी करना शुरू कर दिया, वो किया अभी नहीं किया इस चीज के बारे में. इट विल कम इन डिटेल व्हेन यू गो फॉर एक्सरसाइज फिजियोलॉजी ना, you will study all this in detail. Now I want those examples. Hams. Ow. I want two girls. We have done for the triceps, we have done for the biceps, we have done for the long finger flexors and extensors. Now I want for hams, and this is all done. Yes, for hams, you have to tell me active and passive insufficiency. यहाँ इधर आओ पीछे. Yes.
Okay, so the work of hamstrings is knee flexion and hip extension. It is the opposite, knee flexion and hip extension. So if she extends her hip,
एक मिनट. चलो.
If she extends her hip like this and I ask her to flex her knee, so it will be difficult for her because she loses off her balance. So the hamstring is sufficient, actively sufficient at the hip joint, but it is actively insufficient at the knee joint. If we look at the other side, here quadriceps, they are getting lengthened. They are getting lengthened over here, so they are, yes, correct. If we look at the other, if I ask her to flex her knee while keeping the hip in neutral, and then I ask her to extend her hip, so she will not be able to gain the full hip extension in this. So they are now actively sufficient at the knee joint, but actively insufficient at the hip joint. So now in this position, her quadriceps are getting lengthened. Her quadriceps are getting lengthened over here, but not at the knee joint, because quadriceps works at the extension. So they are passively sufficient at the hip, but passively insufficient at the knee joint.
Very good. Very nice. Next, for the hams.